So by way of teaser for later on this afternoon, I've been going to GA since 2000. Yesterday, Thursday, they all get packed together. As I was, I went up to take a picture with a long-time friend who used to wear Hawaiian shirts, and he's routinely at microphone number one. His name is Bob Matz. He's a ruling elder. He's now down in Florida, and he's transitioned from wearing Hawaiian shirts to wearing a sports code shirt and a tie, but he wears quality, crazy ties. And so I went over, and he saw me coming. He was in line getting ready to talk for like the 10th time. And I looked at him and said, dude, Hawaiian shirts, ties. I got to get a picture. So, And that was fun. For those of you on Twitter, you've seen my GA adventure log. I think I posted 11 of them. And then as I was walking back, I heard someone shout my name. Now, because I had given a majority report that everyone liked, I had a lot of people introducing themselves to me. So I was like, okay, another person introduced themselves to me. And up walked the Reverend Dr. Scott McKnight, who has been serving for 31 years at the Reformed Presbyterian Church of Hudson, Ohio. And he was, at my first GA, the older brother who basically held me by the hand as we went through GA. And I haven't seen him since that GA. And so it was an absolute delight to reconnect and to thank him, because quite frankly, a lot of what he taught me still applies to how I go through General Assembly. So you've got all that happening, right? There are 24, was it 2439? Remember the total number on the final count? I think it was 2439 or close to that. The largest ever. And it was about 1,600 teaching elders and 800 ruling elders. Now, you might think that that percentage is sad, 1/3 ruling elders. The reality is that that's the largest it's been since the first two General Assemblies. Okay, the PCA started in 1973. The dominant driving force in starting the PCA was ruling elders. And to this day, it is ruling elders who keep the ship stable. So it was a delight to be there. I'm very grateful for the time. Our presbytery paid for my fee and for Garrett. And hey guys, guess where Addie's phone is?
Wow.
And I've been calling it, and it's been ringing in my pocket, and I didn't even feel it. Okay. So I have no idea what I was talking about, so that means I'm supposed to transition. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, thank you so much for your love and your kindness, the mercy, the wonders of this church. In Jesus Christ, amen. So at the last minute, our hospitality failed, and literally a week before, it collapsed. And we no longer have a place to stay, and we ain't got no money to pay for it. Okay? And so we start looking around, and we find a Vrbo, and we think we can afford it, and it's going to cost us $1,250 and change, and we can't afford that. And so I put out a comment on Twitter, please pray, da-da-da-da-da. And one elder, one of the recent moderators at Westminster Presbytery, he sent us like, I don't know, $25 or $75. It was a small donation that should be in there, 75, okay? And then another ruling elder should have sent us by now a much larger, $12.50, okay, yeah. So Addie's gonna be submitting her receipts, right? But he's from Dothan. He's down in Dothan. I think he's at First Pres. And he and I have met because we've worked together on some presbytery things, and he is a quiet watcher on Twitter, and he just texted me and said, I'll cover whatever the cost is. Just let me know. This is Monday, the week before we leave. And, I mean, God's good. His people love him. They love the PCA, and they love each other. So I want to encourage you guys. You know, I have had, over the years, many opportunities to be sad by circumstances in the PCA and say so. And then obnoxious fellows routinely take advantage of that. And one of the common comments that you'll hear is, well, if the PCA is so bad, why do you stay? And my response is, have you seen what it looks like out there? This is the best place going. So, God's merciful. We can talk more later on. I forget what time y'all are going to come over, but, you know, what time? 4:30, thank you. So, you know, I don't know, okay? All I knew is that Graham and Hayden are coming over after the fellowship meal because they don't want to have to drive back down. And so I told Addie, well, okay, fine. Beckett and I will take a nap in the bedroom, right? And Addie goes, well, actually, Hayden and I will be in there having our discipleship group. I'm like, oh, man, so much for my nap. That's just life, right? Okay, where are we? I think we're on page 50. 48, close. Let me look back. I've been blathering for a few minutes. I thank you for that. Okay, go back to page 49 real quick. So the covenant of works pattern is 6 days of work, earning the covenant of works reward, fulfilled in obedience to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil stipulations, and then 1 day of resting from covenant of works, meriting works, anticipating fulfillment of the covenant of works, legal contractual obligations at the end of the probationary period. This is why I've summarized for you. You know, I think that the probationary period was, best way to say it is this: most likely a week, definitely a multiple of that. Okay? So if it had been 49 weeks, and then the 50th, anyone know what I'm talking about? What? Year of Jubilee. That's right. And then some of you are going, well, doesn't that mean 49 years? Okay, 49 years. All right. What's 7 times 7? 49. Okay, right? And in the 50th year, you let all those who are indentured go, right, into freedom. And that's a picture of what? The year of Jubilee, which is a picture of crossing the Jordan, which is a picture of, what'd you say, Tyler?
I said the Feast of Booths.
No. That's actually the opposite direction, buddy. Liberation from Egypt? No. That's correlated to being born again. Okay? The Feast of Booths is wandering in the wilderness till we get to the Jordan. That's the Christian life. Okay? This is, watch this. This is the Feast of Booths. Okay? Right? What's the year of Jubilee a picture of? What's that smile on your face? Don't give me that. Just
The coming of Christ.
not the coming of Christ.
Well,
The second coming of Christ. Yeah, did you reel in there? It's the year of Jubilee, the year of ultimate liberty, founding glorification.
final curtain.
Yes, the final curtain. Okay? Otherwise known as a song, I think, from the 90s, The Final Countdown.
Yeah.
It's the final countdown! I one time tried to teach Revelations in this church, and I introduced every class with some song related to some sort of apocalyptic issue. And I loved it. I found like a dozen songs. One of my favorites is John the Revelator. If you've never heard John the Revelator, it's fantastic. Okay? But the final countdown And then my favorite scene, apocalyptic scene, is Slim Pickens riding the nuclear bomb in the movie Doctor Strangelove. Yeah! If you don't know what I mean, you need to watch just that scene. Okay? So it's stuck on the rack and he's jumping up and down on it and it drops and he's riding it like it's a horse. It's great. All right, so the covenant of works pattern. Go to number 4 now. Okay? Let me go back and offer. This is hard part about how I'm numbering things. It's hard to follow. The covenant of works application. Introduction. The covenant of works offer incorruptible life. And then the covenant of works pattern. And then the dominion mandate. Page 50. Page 50. One of these days, I'm going to read Florney the Psalm 131, where it talks about the weaned child sitting on its mother's lap quietly. So, anyway, poor little child. The dominion mandate as a part of the covenant of works. Now, this one is fun because it is routine in the history of the church to bring back up the dominion mandate and insist on such things as America must be a Christian nation. Now, I didn't say that it's wrong for America to be a Christian nation. I didn't define what that means, America as a Christian nation. But it's routine for this to keep coming back up. And God doesn't seem to honor it. It's very interesting, right? So, some of you should look at Kuyper and how God used him in the Netherlands. And then don't go looking for any pictures, but do a quick Google search on what is it like, the red light district in the Netherlands. Okay? And there is a direct fruit connection between those things. So getting the dominion mandate wrong, I think Harry Reeder said it very, very well. The fruits of a more or less civil society, a more or less ethical society, a more or less respect for morality, the moral law, that transcends credible professions of faith. Okay? That is downstream of the Great Commission. It is a, if you will, a providential byproduct that waxes. Anyone remember what wax means? This is not surfboarding or sanding teak wood desks as you practice karate. Yeah, of course it's the opposite of wane, yes. That's right, Tyler. You got the motion. Wax on, wax off. Okay. That's not what we're talking about when we ask for waxing. What does wax and wane mean? Graham? Linda? Increase and decrease based on, normally we use it with reference to, on what?
Seasons.
The moon. Which is tied to seasons, but there's Tyler, Mr. Obtuse. Woo! Coming back in.
All the way around.
All right. So, the dominion mandate is critical, especially since it gets republished in the Bible. Where? Anyone remember where it gets republished? To Noah. Noah is a picture of another Adam. Okay? Therefore, he's a type of Jesus. And it's common to observe that the dominion mandate was given to Noah with a few tweaks, but fundamentally the same commands given to Adam. When were those commands given to Adam? Be fruitful, multiply. You see them right here, Genesis 1:28. When were those commands given? Looks like someone forgot their dinner. Just get cheesy to trip.
Given in Genesis 1:28.
Jiminy. I work really hard to ask simple questions, and sometimes y'all just decide to demonstrate I'm simple. Okay, was this, in terms of the covenantal structure of everything, when was this dominion mandate given? Under what covenantal? Covenant of works. Right. Okay. When did the covenant of grace begin? No. That was a covenant of works. After the fall. You might even say at the fall. Okay? It's very interesting. The curses are not pronounced. I heard this week and I was like, that's a great way to, I hadn't, so I'm stealing from someone, I forget who had said it. The curses are not pronounced on Adam or Eve. Okay? The experience of the curses are pronounced on them. But the curses.
The last form of the curse.
Yes. Okay, the pluperfect form. I have to bring the train back into the station here for a second. You older ones are nodding your heads. So take your time. So, the curses are pronounced on the land and the animals. Okay? You see the snake is cursed, right? Okay? In the dominion mandate given to Noah, what's said about the land? You have to extrapolate a bit. I'm sorry, little out? No, not during the flood, okay? After the flood, Genesis 9. We're reestablishing life, right? Basic summary is this: never am I going to flood the earth again, okay? And all the green plants are now still for you. What does it say about the animals? The animals are now what in relationship to you? Afraid of you, and then we can extrapolate because Peta formerly began. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Peta, the original Peta, okay, is people eating tasty animals. Okay? So that's when that began. Okay? Notice that the dominion mandate given to Noah and his family doesn't express curses. It expresses some sort of mitigation. We might even call it management of the curses. So now back to the curse on the animals and the land in the fall. Where is the covenant of grace in that? It's to Eve. Tyler? Yeah, a little louder.
What was that, chapter 3?
Yeah, chapter 3:15. Yep. You're gonna have a seed. A woman doesn't have seed. A man has seed. So saying you're gonna have a seed to a woman is a necessary inference to the virgin birth. Okay? Right? And you're gonna have a seed, and he's gonna do what? He's gonna crush the head of the serpent, which is destroy his power. You take away the life of a serpent by crushing its head, you destroy its power. What's the danger? In Texas, they know this well. What do they wear in Texas? Yeah, high boots. Why? Because rattlesnakes can jump. Okay? All right? So, my favorite picture is a guy, and this is long before AI. Okay? The picture of a guy, he's holding a rattlesnake like this. And you look at how far down it's hanging here, and you look at how far down and across the tail is hanging there, and you're like, that's a good 15 feet. And the center of that thing is as thick as my thigh. And all I can think is, boy, there's some good eating for a few weeks. You know, pizza. So, have you ever had rattlesnake? You know what I'm talking about. It actually is quite tasty. You know why the chicken crossed the road? Because everyone kept saying it tastes like chicken and ain't wanted to get away. So, all right. So all of these observations are going to push to this question, and I'm going to leave it with you for a minute. Okay? Is the re-giving of the dominion mandate an expression of the covenant of works or an expression of the covenant of grace? And that is going to be critical. All right, so the first dominion mandate being given, right, summarized the moral law prior to the fall, okay, the 10 Commandments summarized. Do we really believe that the 10 Commandments can actually be summarized as if they were just one command? Yes. Where do we believe that? Where do we express that in our doctrine, Garrett? I've got the harder question for you, Dave. We'll see if you can get it.
In our doctrine. I mean, there are verses just.
Yeah, no. That's Dave's question. Okay. You haven't read this. I can guarantee you.
Oh, it's not a scripture that we're talking about?
No, we're talking about our doctrine.
Here. Okay.
Westminster Standards.
It's in the catechism. I think that's the shorter and the longer.
It's technically in the larger, right? The larger has this section where it says that all of the 10 Commandments can be correlated with one another, so that in effect, if you violate one, well, in principle, you've offended the whole family. Maybe we could say it that way. There's an organic connection between them. Dave, do you remember the key verse? It would be one of Jesus' brothers, the one who was obnoxious and led the rest of the family to say he was crazy until they saw him after the resurrection. And then he wrote a book telling everyone they're idiots if they don't worship his brother. Remember who that was? Okay, I'm giving him a hard time. It's James. If you break one of the commandments, you've broken them all. I'm paraphrasing and I forget. I think it's in chapter 4. Okay? By the way, seriously, I love James and I love Peter. Okay? I would love to be John, but I'm not John. Okay? I'm a clumsy oaf at times, Peter. Okay? And I'm a bit arrogant at times, James. Okay? Could you imagine? Mom, he's crazy. He thinks he's the Messiah. All right, James, let's go talk to him. Poor Mary. His brothers come to him. Your brothers and your mother are outside waiting for you. Who are my brothers and my mother? But those who, believe the gospel. Okay? And it wasn't until after the resurrection. Could you imagine what that was like for James? He about had a heart attack. One of his best and worst days of his life. That's exactly true. All right? So, the dominion mandate enabled man to live by natural faith and to do so meritoriously. Okay? Notice I've said meritoriously trust and obey. This is different than by faith, trust, and obedience. This is self-effort, trust, and obedience. That's a huge difference. Now, critical in our lives is that we fail to recognize the fine line. You ever watch one of those movies where the person steps through the laser beam and all of a sudden their body just slides off and it falls into pieces? Okay, good. You're not watching horrible movies. That's great. It's all these laser beams crossing, as you're going to go get the jewel in the case, right? right? Except these laser beams will actually burn through you. Okay? You with me so far? All right? Well, that's exactly what the law does. And prior to the fall, under the covenant of works, when we could do it, you're fine. You could avoid all the laser beams. You could get, in and around and through all the various laser beams. After the fall, you can't. Just forget it. Oops. Well, there goes a leg. And so you could live with, okay, God told me to do this. God's given me the ability. He wouldn't ever tell me to do anything that I couldn't do with his help. I mean, it's as if we're walking around a jungle, say in Southeast Asia. Oh, look, there's a little tripwire. Oh, look, there's some bouncing Betty spikes. Oh, look, and Jesus just walking along telling us how to avoid all the traps. God helps those who help themselves, right? Okay? That's how we function when we're living by a natural faith. I can do it with a little assistance. And that is not what the Bible teaches. You can do nothing apart from abiding in Jesus. And abiding in Jesus doesn't mean, oh yeah, arm in arm. That's not how John 15, 1 through 8 works. This is the critical dividing point. Covenant of works versus covenant of grace. Covenant of works, you can. Covenant of grace, you cannot. All right, and then number 3, sufficient for obedience to the covenant of works stipulations, but it was corruptible. Okay? Now, what's that a reference to? The final state of the covenant of grace is being made perfect in holiness, never able to sin again. Glorification, eschatological life, the tree of life. That's what the goal was. And until you reach that goal, you could fail. You could, along the way, hear Jesus say in the covenant of works system, don't do that. Oh, it's just a leaf. Oh, that feels nice. Oh, look at the fruit. Oh, right? That's how it works. All right, page 51. Components of the dominion mandate. Human procreation, fruitful and multiply. Human expansion, fill the earth. Human dominion, subdue the earth. Now this subdue involves this: exercising dominion over animal life. Shepherd ruling over the animal kingdoms. There are 3 animal kingdoms: water, fish, air, birds, land, and animals. Now the animals are further broken down into domestic animals, we would call livestock; wild animals, we would call beasts; and crawling animals, we would call that the kingdom of the ants. Okay? Things that swarm. Okay? Swarming is a sign of the animal kingdom telling you you're doomed. So, run. That's all I can tell you. All right, and then next page, page 52, we see these things in Genesis 2:19, 20. So exercising dominion over animal life, and the number 2 squeezed in there, exercising dominion over plant life. Okay? Put them in the garden to work it and keep it. Now, name a culture known for its gardening skills. Name a culture known for its gardening skills. Japan, England, and France. That's pretty good, Kelly. I didn't expect anyone to get all 3 of those that fast. Okay? Now, Japan is a little bit of the outlier here. Okay? By the way, I just watched a Chinese guy weave a basket. Okay? And all I can say is how I wish I took basket weaving in college. Absolutely amazing.
Probably major in it now.
So, but England and France, it is expressly an expression of the Dominion Mandate that they're functioning under a, watch this, a covenant of grace context. The building of stone walls, that's part of gardening. The domesticating of weeds. What part of our country has the greatest domestication of weeds ever known to anyone in the world? A little louder, Jenny?
Probably the state of Alabama with our kudzu.
The state of Alabama with our kudzu. Well, I don't know that we.
Well, yeah, it's not from here, but
I was going to say, I don't know that we've domesticated kudzu. But I would agree with the first part. State of Alabama, I mean, guys, you look at grass, that's a weed that we've domesticated. So, you know, amazing things. All right. Next page. Page 53. Pre-fall. Which of these did Adam practice? Well, we might observe all of them in this sense. Eve first conceived post the fall, so that's not one, right? She didn't get, thank you. She didn't get pregnant with Cain until after they were kicked out of the garden. Okay? Adam did engage in both forms of dominion, animal life and plant life, and he failed. Where did he fail with reference to animal life? The serpent. It's right there, guys. Okay? What should Adam have done when the serpent started talking?
Smack him upside the head.
Should have grabbed it. Okay, this is where, you know, what's his Sir Sith in Sir Sis in Disney's Robin Hood. Okay, what? Sir Hiss. That's right, Sir Hiss. Should, because that's what it happens in this cartoon. You should watch it. It's a great one. Okay, grabs the by the neck and okay, whack, whack, whack. Then takes it back to God. There's something wrong with this one, Lord. That's what should have happened, right? Okay. He blew it. And then the plant life is kind of obvious. The tree. Okay? I like verse 6. It ends with, and she also gave some to her husband who was with her. And he ate. You need to pay attention to some of these throwaway details. Okay? Where do you think the Agatha Christie writer and all the other murder mystery writers develop their ability to give you throwaway details that later on are the essential characteristic to solving the puzzle? They learned it from God, right? This is a throwaway detail. Why in Romans 5 does Adam get all the garbage? It was Eve who ate the apple first. Well, because he was right there with her, and he was the covenant head. Okay? You know, I mean, the impression is this. Eve does this. Looks at her husband. And he's like there like this. Horrible, horrible stuff. All right, page 54. Notice how this gets correlated with the curse on sin. Human procreation is cursed. Human expansion is cursed. Now, the second part, your desire shall be contrary to, that is a interpretation that comes about in like 1976. I forget her last name. I mean, first name, I think Foy. And she made an argument that it was contrary to. And that seemed to settle some tension that I think is more informed by feminism. I hate to say that. It's easy to throw a boogeyman. Boogie women is worse. Right? So, but I do think that that's fair. If you were in the 70s, you remember what's called second wave feminism had its period of triumph until it collapsed with the failure of the ERA amendment. Okay? And I really do think that the older understanding of this phrase is actually what the Bible teaches. Your desire shall be towards your husband, but he shall rule over you. What it's saying is you will want to fulfill your covenant obligations of care and comfort for your husband. Okay? But he won't want to fulfill his covenant obligations to you of provision and protection. Now, I'm summarizing. There's more to it than that. But that's a good summary of husband and wife. Right? Nope. He's going to rule over you. Who is he going to provide for? Himself. Who is he going to protect? Yep. My favorite commercial is, or cartoon is, a big fat guy sitting in an easy chair, big beer belly sticking out, right? Leaning back, okay? There's a dog. It's the exact same shape of the dog. Big beer belly sitting out on a smaller easy chair next to him, okay? The ground around them is covered with beer cans and potato chip and pretzel bags, okay? And there's a giant TV in front of them, and a football game is on the TV, okay? And the caption above, if God had never created Eve. And then the dog is saying, I'm not getting you a beer, get your own beer. Oh. Very, very accurate. But notice, human procreation, human expansion, and human dominion is cursed. Romans 8:20 through 21 deserves a lot of attention as we continue to live in this period of time where this still applies. Next page, which summarizes page 55. Notice how animal life is cursed. And notice how plant life is cursed. We've already talked about that a bit. Okay? Go to page 56. Let's correlate this with the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Okay? This is my favorite acronym. TAKAGI. Okay? Linda's over there going. Years ago, I tried learning how to write my sermons with alliterating points. And I mean, I was an amateur at it. I think after half a year, Linda just basically, I mean, I'm summarizing what you said. She basically says to me, says, quit trying. It was great. All right, so the test tree in the center of the garden was given as a focal point for all of the covenant of works stipulations. Obey these provisions sufficiently for however long the duration period was to last, and the rewards of the covenant of works would have been granted. Glorification of all creation. No curse. Instead, watch this. Consummate, absolute, final, perfect, complete, fulfilled, we could add a lot more words, blessing, called glorification. Okay, I'm going to skip over the Romans 8, 17, 19 through 21. These are very important passages, all right? They give us background, all right? And then we're going to go to number 6. The Dominion Mandate has a continuing role, but we're not going to go over that today. I'm going to leave you hanging. So page 58, Brennan's not here. So Chris, page 58. Next Sunday. Yes. Okay. Thank you guys for your attention. Let me pray. Lord, we praise you for your word and how clear and simple it is, and how much we mess it up trying to figure it out when it's right, plain, and obvious. Thank you so much, Spirit of Illumination, that you work this out for us. That you make it clear and you make it plain, you make it obvious, you make it what it's intended to be. The word that gives us life. Please give us more life. Bless us now as we go into our worship service.